Welcome to the Millennial Network Podcast. Now your host, Coach Danny Renee.
What's up, everyone? It's Coach Danny Renee, and this is the Millennial Network Podcast. I'm bringing you guys back another episode here with Adrian with Systems Acceleration. Adrian, thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm ready to get it going. Drop some knowledge. So we're talking about systems acceleration. First of all, what is systems? Where did that name, that title, and what do you do, man?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start off. It's definitely a pleasure to be here. Just for y'all to know, look, it's 9 a.m. on a Sunday, and we getting it in, y'all. So super dope to be here. But yes, systems acceleration. So systems acceleration means like one of the missing pieces for a lot of businesses, especially new businesses when they're starting off, is that they lack systems. Like they don't have systems in place for their business to be operating, for them to get the most value out of their time as an entrepreneur. You got to have systems in place for the business to run without you, right? And so systems acceleration was created because I wanted a way to quickly accelerate putting systems in place for small businesses, especially businesses that were starting off, needed some help getting off the ground. And, systems are everything. So systems acceleration, we're all about quality and speed. So, that's our way of putting stuff in place for you to get the most value out of the business. So that's what it's all about.
Nice. Okay. So we're talking about systems, right? And we're talking about systems and business. I'm pretty sure you had to get to a point to where you're like, yo, we need systems for this. So tell me about your background that led you up into systems acceleration.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started off in corporate. So I was in corporate for 7 years before I left. And so my journey is like really unique because like I got my master's degree. I went to school. I was doing everything that I needed to do, everything that I wanted to do in
Wait a
corporate.
minute. You said corporate. So what did you do in corporate? You said you went and got your master's degree. What did you study?
Yeah, so I got my MBA. So I was in accounting, and then I got my MBA. I never did accounting work though. I just liked
Okay.
accounting because it's the language of business, right? So that's why I took it in the first place. But when I was in corporate, I was doing process improvement and continuous improvement work, meaning so we will go into different departments and pretty much systemize the department because it's not running appropriately. Like there's a lot of people, there's not like processes in place, a lot of money's being wasted, lack of automations, things like that. So we will go into these different departments and pretty much clean them out and make them as efficient as possible, and also reduce the cost that they're costing the organization. And I worked for a Fortune 500 company, so really big company, huge role. And so I actually worked my way up to management. So I became a manager, had the six-figure salary, life was good. So what happened though was the things that I learned in corporate, I started doing it for small businesses on the side, just to see how it works. And it went hand in hand because the way you build systems is the same no matter where you go, no matter where you're at. It involves like the same type of evaluation. So was doing that in corporate, started doing it on the side for business owners. Eventually that thing just grew, especially when I got into the high ticket space. At first I was charging like $1,000, for the service I was providing, but I was more of doing it kind of as a hobby, not really as like a business. But then when I actually got super serious, was like, you know what, like let me invest in a program. So I invested in a program, spent like 12K on a program, like never spent that much on anything in life besides like a car or something, right? So investing in that program that made me really like take entrepreneurship very, very serious. And then I started getting high ticket clients. Then I was quickly able to replace my 9 to 5 income with the income from my business plus more. And this was while I was working my 9 to 5. So what happened was, I was like, you know what, let me take a week off of work. Like, let me take a week off of work and see what can I do with my business if I take a week off. No lie, like I made like 13 grand. Like during that time, like 7 days, 13 grand.
Dang.
at that moment, like I knew, like, hey, like it's time to go, you know. Yeah, and then I just doubled down on what I was doing and finally made the decision. Like, but it really came down to the decision. Like, I finally made the decision. Like, you know what, I want to go all in on my business. And so when I did that, I started being able to create more impact for other small businesses. The connections that I was getting was amazing. I was doing exactly what I loved every single day, except for instead of doing it for a corporation, I was doing it for myself, as well as impacting other small businesses instead of impacting a corporation that's already, it's already straight.
Nice. Now you said that at 13,000 that week, were these with like the same clients, new clients?
hmm Yeah, so
Like how does that work?
I spent the whole week on just revenue generating activities. So it was a mix
Mm-hmm.
of both. It was definitely new clients. It was people that was already kind of in my pipeline that I was talking to about my services. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times it was like new people. I was running ads, like I had learned how to run ads. So I basically built it to where I was getting a ton of sales calls that week, like intentionally. Like the week before, I was like, I'm gonna do nothing but schedule sales calls. I'm gonna post a lot of content. I'm gonna get people on the phone, and I'm gonna show people what I can do. And by focusing, and that's what we can do with any of our businesses. If we focus on revenue generating activity, we're going to generate revenue. But if we focus on all these small things like building websites and like these things that we're not good at, things that aren't necessarily making money for the business, then we're not going to make money in our business. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what my goal was. I said nothing but revenue generating activity.
Okay. Now explain to the audience if someone just didn't know what is revenue generating activities, and do you believe that it's different per business or is it about the same?
Yeah, so revenue generating activity is going to be things that, like, if you're doing an activity that can lead to like your business making money, like that's really how that's as simple as it is. And I think a lot of times when it comes to systems, when it comes to figuring out what we should be doing on our business, we really overcomplicate it, which is fair
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many moving parts in the business. But when you really like sit down and write down everything that you do, right? Like, so I always tell people when it comes to systems, when it comes to documenting processes and trying to make your business more efficient, like you literally start off with a pen and a paper and write down every single thing that you do in your business. And
Mm-hmm.
then when you write that down, the next step for you to do is to rank the activity, like what's most important and what's generating revenue. And so when you take the time and you do that activity, you might notice things like, and a lot of people might not believe this, but like posting on social media, right? Like, is that revenue generating activity? Like, absolutely. Because when you post certain things the right way with a strong call to action, that's valuable, people are going to hit you up. They're going to be interested in your services. So posting on social media and marketing is definitely one. Another thing is like sales calls. Like so many people, especially in the high ticket space, they're not spending enough time on the phone. Like we have to get people on the phone. Like we're so caught in this digital age where we're so used to messaging people and things like that. Like you have to get people on the phone. So I spent a lot of time on the phone, maybe like 3 to 4 hours a day, just
Mm.
literally talking to different people. Like, and everything wasn't a sales calls. Like a lot of times it came from affiliates, like talking to people who don't necessarily need my service, but they like what I do and I like what they do. And we're just talking on the phone. And I'm like, hey, do you know anyone that needs this in their business? They're like, absolutely. I know a lot of people. And then they're sending people my way. So it's like getting people on the phone, networking is really, really key. The other thing is really like just I think networking is like huge when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
sales. And if you spend time networking with the right people in your business, you can literally 10x your revenue, like easy.
Are you saying like networking on social media, going out to networking events,
All of it, like all of
all
it.
of it, all the
But
above? Okay.
But you know what? It's funny because like I think COVID kind of made us forget about the in person interaction that we can have, like networking in your city, going to entrepreneurship events, connecting with other individuals. And what I've really experienced over the past 6 months is really like jumping out with like those in person networking events, and that has like generated so much revenue. in the
Mm-hmm.
business from like just going out. Another thing is like vendor tables, like getting vendor tables at like large conferences and stuff. I never knew that would be so powerful. Like, so for example, we just had InvestFest. InvestFest was just this past Sunday. So whenever someone listens to it, it might be months later, but we had InvestFest, and we had a vendor table. It was $1,500 for the vendor table. And it's like you build these connects. People see you as an authority because you have a vendor table. So they believe that you know what you're talking about. And if you have something that is like interesting to people, you could generate so many leads from those vendor tables
Mm-hmm.
that like the following week, you can literally just call everyone that you connected with and you will like 10x your investment in what you spent on that vendor table.
Gotcha. So obviously, you know, you teach automation, right? And we're talking about revenue generating activities. Now, for the average person, right? The average person that they want to get into a business or they just started. Most people don't even know what their system is, right? So there's
Mm-hmm.
obviously they can spend money different places to figure that out. They have access to YouTube. They're still figuring out a system. The benefit of
Mm-hmm.
corporate America is that we forget that we're thrown into a system that's already proven to work. And then all they
Right,
constantly
right.
do with time, technology is constantly adjust that system. But when it comes to our own system, we have to figure out what that is, right? So
Mm-hmm.
before we even get into the system that every business needs, like you said before, we're talking about websites and all of that, really is clients. Like who's going to believe in us or buy our product, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you were talking about how you were spending all these hours on sales calls. How did you get to these calls? Most people don't know how to run Facebook ads. Most people are very uncomfortable with the phone. So, granted, there's some level of discomfort that has to happen, but how do these new people get to these sales calls?
Yeah, that's a great question. Oh my God, that's a great question. All right. So for me, it started from investing in myself. So here's the thing, like you need to, when you're providing a product or service, it's very important for you to invest to receive that product or service as well so that you can see what the experience is like. Right. So another thing is like when it comes to investing in like programs and coaching, which is what like really accelerated my journey and my success with entrepreneurship, is because like the same way corporate America has systems already in place, like when you pay for a program, like a legit, like good program, they have systems in place that they give you. Like any good like program, coaching program, they give you like standard operating procedures. They show you what your client journey should look like. They show you how to get clients. So like when I invested in a program, I was able to like take out the guesswork. So I didn't spend a lot of time on YouTube or researching and reading books because I paid for a program from someone who was already doing what I wanted to do. So they gave me the exact steps that they did. They gave me the mistakes that they made while they were on that journey. And they also showed me like what really, really worked well. And they showed me what I should double down on. So I was able to get a lot of people on sales calls because the program showed me lead generation like firsthand, like exactly how to do it. So to become like, to think of it from a more tactical standpoint, when it comes to like generating sales and leads, when it comes to generating sales calls, you have to generate leads, right? And so the way that you generate leads is you have to provide value for someone to become a lead. And for me, I define a lead as somebody when I get their contact information. So when I get their phone number and their email address and their name, that is when they become a lead for me. And so when they become a lead, I now have the opportunity to nurture them, meaning I give them more information, I give them more value. Free. I'm talking about completely free. And it eventually leads them to like beg to get on the phone with you because they're like, oh my God, like if he's providing this information for free, and I just can only imagine what the paid what the value of his paid program or his paid products or services, what they're going to be like. And so what would happen was I would give out lead magnets. I mean, I had lead magnets where I would give out free training. I would have like, I would go on live and give value. I would have webinars. Like I would have all these different things kind of going on to generate leads. And anytime I had those conversations in the open space, I would say, hey, if you're interested in like a free strategy call. Like if you want to get on the phone and I can give you like the blueprint to get you from A to Z, let's get on the phone. And that like drove a lot of people to get on the phone. And when I got on those phones, I still gave value. Hey, this is how you get from A to Z. But the only difference is on the phone, I'm being more tactical and I'm saying, hey, here's how you get from A to Z. Here's how I can help you get from A to Z with more quality and more speed. And I can like guarantee you results because I've done it so many times already. Right. So at that point, that led me to get on the phone and to get people. And you got to understand numbers. Like everything's a system, right? So we think about systems and we think about just technology. But when you think about the system for sales and lead generation it really comes down to like breaking the numbers down. And I like to really do kind of like a bottoms up approach. Where I think about this is like, I know that if I want to make $10,000 and I got a $2,000 program, right? So I need 5 clients. So I start off there. In order for me to get 5 clients, I probably need to have about 15 to 20 conversations with people, and that's fair because that's about a 25 to 30% close rate, which is the industry norm for most places. So I know that I need to get on the phone with 20 people in order to get those 5 clients. Now, in order to get on the phone with 20
these
people,
are 20 people that have already joined your lead pipeline. These are not just strangers or random people that you're not even sure fit your demographic, right? Or your audience, whatever the word.
They definitely have to be my target audience. Like they
Right,
gotta
but so
be
these 20 people target. So these 20 people have already opted in something that you've done to where they're probably identified as a target audience, right? Is that what you're saying? Like the
correct.
20 people, not 20 random people that you just happen to hit up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. No, that's a good point because I mean we waste a lot of time on the phone with people. But I'll be honest, like when I started like getting a lot of leads and a lot of sales calls came in, I had to put an application like process in place to where it will automatically like not allow people to book time with me if like they didn't fit the criteria because that's
Right.
so huge, so huge, you know. But no, that's a good point. So I had to have 20 valuable conversations. That's the way we can say it, like 20 valuable conversations. And in order for me to get those 20 valuable conversations, I probably had to generate like 100 leads, because like, and it's all about understanding like your conversion. And so if I understand like, hey, if I get 100 leads, it leads to 20 phone conversations, that leads to 5 sales calls. I now know that the defining factor is leads. So now I know that if I want to get 10 clients, I need 200 leads. And that's when advertising comes into place. That's where advertising becomes valuable because you're able to scale that. But yeah, I love that bottoms up approach at looking at how many calls I need, how many leads I need in order to get my sales numbers.
Okay. And these are now we're talking about leads. I know you mentioned like the different platforms on how you're able to get it. What percentage of it was organic to where you're like really reaching out to these people versus like these people coming to you through ads?
Yeah, at that point back then, it was like 60% organic, like 60 to
Okay. And this
70%
is all
organic.
from social media, like you reaching out to them or you going live and then they're opting into something?
Social media, like just posting like valuable content with call to actions, like, hey, here's how you get from A to B, here's your transformation. If you want to figure out more about this, check out my free training on how to do this. So sending people there. I was leveraging virtual assistants to do outbound messaging as well, so that was super powerful. If someone engaged with our posts, I would tell my assistant, my social media manager, like, hey, send them a DM and see if they're interested in like our free training or something. So I had that going on. I will say, like, as time went on and I learned more about ads, that the organic like dropped off like a lot. Because the ads are kind of running for you. I still get organic, but it's just like, and then referrals. Like there's so much power in referrals. Like when you provide someone a transformation, you can't just let them walk away. Like if you really serve someone and give them exactly what they need and they love your product or service, which I'm sure that all of us has the opportunity to give people this much value, one, get a review, right? Like get an honest review, figure out what was wrong, what went well, and leverage that as social proof on your websites to boost your authority. But the next thing is like, hey, do you know anyone else that's like you that like needs this? And if so, I will give you like 10% of the sale if you're able to refer anyone my way. That has gotten me so many clients, like I can't even count how many clients I've gotten from referrals. It's powerful.
And you said you were giving these people a discount to pretty much refer people.
I was giving them like a percentage of the sale. So,
Oh,
if I got a high ticket,
basically like a what's the word? Affiliate type fee.
yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's so powerful. Give people 10% because if you can get without you having to chase anyone and like people are just getting on the phone with you, like if you can give away 10 to 15% of your sale for someone to do that, you can get a lot of you can increase your revenue by a lot.
That's smart. That's smart. And then so you basically develop this organic platform first for you to understand your system. I'm getting before you got into lead generation through ads,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are
Yep.
your thoughts
Absolutely.
that there's a lot of people out here that's teaching the reverse. Do ads and everything, do ads and everything and just bring leads in. Like what are your thoughts just on that strategy for people that just kind of start their business but they're going straight to trying to generate ads?
Yeah, so those people are right. Like the people that are saying that are right. So
Go
I'm
straight for
agreeing with them.
ads first?
No. Don't go straight for ads. Like
No, I'm saying
y-
there are some people that will teach because you know like all the time like if you're an entrepreneur you got a lot of things just popping up, right? And then
right.
there are people that are saying hey go straight into generating leads from Facebook ads, LinkedIn, Google,
Oh,
like whatever.
yeah.
And I was asking like what are your thoughts on those people just teaching that before anything organic?
Yeah, no. You gotta like you gotta have the transformation first. Like you gotta be confident because if you have a bad product or service, like and you run ads, it's like you just increase the chances of someone experiencing your bad product or service. So
Mm-hmm.
like the way that I tell people that like ads are like lighter fluid. Like you gotta have a spark there. You gotta have something there first and then do it. So I would say as soon as you have a good product or service that you're confident in that you actually have done for someone, at that point, then you can run ads. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think that's at the point. So if you have a good business model and you're already good, running ads is always going to be my favorite. Like
Yeah.
because especially if it's automated the right way. Like if you have the systems in place, like because some people will run ads and they run ads and send people to a website, like
I was
just
just
a
about to
normal
say that.
website. Like that's not like they need to be going to a funnel. They need to have
Mm-hmm.
like a single call to action that they need to do to become a lead or to buy from you or whatever the case may be. So you got to also have a really good strategy with your ads as well, like a really like defined strategy. But absolutely, like I think like before you run ads, you just got to have a good business first. And so once
Mm-hmm.
you have the good business, then you're good. I still say don't sleep on organic because like ads break like a lot. Like like especially
Mm.
if you don't have like a marketing agency like us who's like watching your ads for you, who's managing and tweaking it for you. Like you have to be prepared for the ads just to stop working completely one day. And
Mm-hmm.
like, what are you going to do when that happens? Like, obviously, you run more ads, you test, to get some more good ads up and running. And that's why you should be running like multiple campaigns at once because, like, I'm telling you, like, it just happened to me last week. Like, I had an ad running, was getting me like 10 sales calls a week, like, easy. And then all of
Mm-hmm.
a sudden, it just dropped down to like two. And I'm like, what? Like, what happened? Like
Mm-hmm.
nothing happened. Just Facebook just made a change and then they started doing stuff. So like you just gotta be prepared. So I always say like run both though. Like do organic and ads, but ads are just a lighter fluid to your organic.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, and I always say that too because if you don't have a system, and then say for instance you do have these leads coming in, now you're throwing away money because now you don't know how to get them through the system. You don't understand the conversions, different things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you said the industry standard is like 25-30%. Now, just on sales, like let's talk about cold marketing, meaning you don't know these people that you're reaching out to. They haven't seen your product in any everything. And I remember I was talking to like this guy about a week ago. He's in sales, but he's in corporate sales, tech software sales, right? And he was talking about, he was like,
Hmm.
the industry average for cold market is about 3%. So what are your thoughts on, granted we're talking about organic, and
Hmm.
obviously we have to identify target market, but we're talking about specifically cold market. If that is true, I
Hmm.
think that's about true as far as cold market. What are
It
your
is.
thoughts
Hmm.
on people spending their time on this low conversion of cold market? Some people say do it in cold calls and different things like that, but what are your thoughts as far as spending time on the cold market in that sense with low conversion?
Yeah, it depends on your product, right? Like it
Mm-hmm.
depends on how much you like the product or service you provide. It really depends because if you have a high ticket offer, right, and so the 3% mark is 100% true. Is very true, and it's usually like based on like landing page views, like people visiting your website, like that type of cold traffic. Typically, you can get about 10. Like usually, most campaigns and most strategies get about a 10% kind of lead generation rate. So meaning like depending on what you have, it depends on your product or service. But if you have a high ticket offer, you can usually get about like 10% of people to become leads. Like, so if you reach out to 100 people, like 10% of people will typically like get into your pipeline, get whatever lead magnet you have and things like that. Um, at that point, usually I think like another 10% is usually like the amount of people that you can get on the phone. So
Mm-hmm.
it's really interesting because it's like, wow, these numbers are so low. But when you think about like volume, like we live in a world of like abundance. Like there's an unlimited amount of like potential leads and clients out there. Like you will never run out of potential customers. Like no
Mm-hmm.
one ever will. Like you can niche down so much. You can literally niche down to like a specific age, specific like interests. Like you can keep niching down more and more, you will still have an unlimited amount of people that you can get. So I know these low conversions can sound scary, but it's actually amazing when you think about the amount of people that you can actually reach, especially with social media.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the industry very, very widely. But, I know for me personally in the high ticket space, usually like when I'm running an ad, right? If I'm running an ad, I target about I think like 2 to 3% of people to actually like, click on the link and actually like go to your website, so that number is accurate. But from that point, I try to get at least 20% of people, 20 to 30% of people that actually visit my landing page, visit my funnel. I want that amount of people to opt in. And
Mm-hmm.
so I know that if I'm not getting that amount of people to opt in, then something's wrong with my landing page. Something's wrong with my funnel. Especially if the Facebook ads are actually pushing people into it the right way for the amount of cost. So like the numbers tell us. So if I get 20% of people to opt in to whatever I have, the next goal is to get like 10% of those people to actually get on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So like you see how like the numbers are kind of like breaking down, and it depends on the type of funnel because you have different funnels. And I don't want to get, I know this, it could get a little complicated,
Yeah.
but if I have like a funnel that I'm giving away a free training for, I'm going to probably get a lot less people to like my conversion rate to get them on a phone is probably going to be a lot lower. But if I'm running something that we call a VSL funnel, which is a video sales letter, which is
Mm-hmm.
very direct and it says, hey, get on the phone with me. Like when it comes to that, if someone opts in, I expect at least like 50% of those people to get on the phone with me. So
Mm-hmm.
it depends on your strategy, but you got to look at how the numbers work for you. And I always tell people, like, break down the math. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how much does it cost for you to get this many people on the phone? How much does it cost you in anything before someone actually makes a purchase from you? And I think that's the missing piece that a lot of people are having, because a lot of people don't even invest in marketing. They don't even invest or put any dollars towards client acquisition. So it's hard for them to grow because they don't spend any money towards it. If we don't invest towards getting clients, it's going to be hard to get clients. Right. And so we got to look at what those numbers look like. If I have $1,000 product or service and it costs me $100 to get a client, I got a 7-figure business on my hands. It's really that simple. But if I have a model where it's costing me $600 to get $1,000 client, I probably need to reevaluate my lead generation system and see if I can figure out a way to decrease my cost to get clients. So that's the way we got to think about it. It's going to be unique based on whatever business you have, whatever your revenue is, whoever your target market is. It's going to vary like widely.
So let's let's slow it down for a bit. Let's go back, because I know, like, when we talk about
I
numbers,
dove a little too deep.
conversions. No, you're fine. But I know it could confuse people. So let's go back to that 3%. Understanding the market of the people that's watching this. That's really interesting into entrepreneurship, or they're just starting, right? That could be like, what? Wait, what? What's going on here? So we're going back to that 3%. If I'm working a full-time job, 8 plus whatever hours, if I have to commute or not, that 3% is very low, because that means I have to do so much over the course of a day, week, month, to maybe even get one call, if we're going off of like what you just basically explained. So that 3% does not work in my favor. It doesn't at all, because it's like I'm putting all this effort in part-time. Now I'm taking over to awake time from my family and this and that. I am new to entrepreneurship. At this point, I may be defeated because there's a lot of noise on the internet. Everybody's telling me what to do. I may be defeated because I'm doing all this effort, but I'm not getting any clients. And we could talk about like small habits and different things like that, right? So I only have so much time by the time I get off of work. How can I increase my conversions to get sales? And then you mentioned high ticket, and I know, like, I don't know if people say it starts at like $1,000, that's considered high ticket, or 3,000. I don't really know what that number is. But say, for instance, I don't have a high ticket, or I do, but I only have limited time. How can I increase my conversions and still make money when I get off of work?
That's a great question. Great question. So what I did for my business, I have virtual assistants.
Okay.
So, I made the investment. A virtual assistant can cost anywhere from $400 to $1,000. It really just depends on the quality of virtual assistant that you get. A lot of small businesses are like really dropping a bag on not leveraging virtual assistants. And I might be a little bit more passionate about this because I have a virtual staffing agency where we have 40 virtual assistants that we outsource to clients. But I understand the power of virtual assistants. So when I was working my 9 to 5, I was really busy during the day, but my team was working during the day. So that conversion that you're mentioning, or the outreach, or the opportunity to get 100 people to see your website for 3 people to actually do a call to action, or we're not that 3%. If I have my team who is working, they're able to increase that lead flow, which overall increases the amount of people that come. And they're able to do this again from organic. We're talking about organic because ads can run 24/7. Like, we know ads can definitely be the key as well. But virtual assistants can do your manual outreach, right? So they can do cold DM strategies, which I don't really use too much. I use them for some clients, but it still works. But like cold DM strategies, fulfillment, right? Because if my team is working on all the fulfillment,
I'm sorry, Agent. Adrian, I have to pause this. Give me 1 second. I realized when we were dealing with the camera issues, I didn't plug it up, the computer. So it's about to die.
Oh, you're good.
You still there?
Yep, I'm here. I'm here.
Is it saying my internet is not improved now? Hold up. Oh, okay.
I was seeing if my stuff was
I guess that
uploading.
was good timing because looks like my internet didn't switch when I switched it. Like, golly. Or when I restarted the computer. Oh my god. All
It
right.
does say you're
So
99% uploaded. No, I'm 99% uploaded, so I'm good.
no, I'm 99 too. But when I'm in my room, it goes to my extender, my Wi-Fi extender, and it sucks up here. So
Oh
when I come
yeah.
to my office, I have to go back to the stronger Wi-Fi signal. And when I restarted the computer because the camera wasn't working, I didn't switch it. So it was like one time you were talking, and I was like, I don't hear nothing he said, but I'm acting like I do.
Hey, you held it
Like,
down. I couldn't tell.
yeah, I mean, because I know it's still gonna record on here. That's why I'm like, I'm just gonna listen. But
hmm
yeah, so I guess that we probably needed that just ultimately because that's good to see for that. Now my Wi-Fi is back strong, and then the computer is charging. So we're just
Dope,
gonna
dope,
start from the
dope.
top. When you said virtual assistant, so and you can
Okay.
start whenever you want to.
All right, dope, dope, dope. All right, so for me, when I was working my 9 to 5, I was extremely busy. Like I did not have a lot of time for my business, like during that 9 to 5 window. So obviously, I put work in the morning and in the evening. Um, but when we have 9 to 5s again, it's really important for us to focus on revenue generating activity. So I have virtual assistants that help like maintain a lot of stuff. So like we have time to go towards like that lead generation and things that we're mentioning. Even if it is a 3% conversion, we have time. We just need to put like an hour to 2 hours a day, into it. But the issue is a lot of us, we don't have the time to do it because we're so stuck doing everything for the business. So we're stuck doing fulfillment. We're stuck doing like social media editing. Like we're stuck doing like websites, like all these different things. So when I had a virtual assistant on my team, which like now I have like 7 now, like just on my team. And like I think I mentioned this, like I'm super passionate about virtual assistants because I have a staffing agency, me and my business partner, and we outsource like 40 of them, to different
Mm-hmm.
clients and other small business owners. And let me tell y'all, like virtual assistants is the way that these large corporations have been able to scale and become successful the way that they are. Is because they are leveraging something that a lot of small business owners don't like have access to or choose not to have access to. So I'm super passionate about virtual assistants,
How much?
and
How
you're
much did
providing
they
a great
cost?
opportunity. So a virtual assistant can be anywhere from as low as like 400 a month to like 800 to 1,000 a month for like good
Mm-hmm.
quality. So it varies, like, and it depends on what you have them doing. So I always tell people like onlinejobs.ph is like the place to go for virtual assistants.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even have to use it anymore because our internal network is so strong. So we can usually get like better talent at like a lower cost. But the virtual assistants, if you are able to get a return on your investment for a virtual assistant, which is not hard, like it's not hard at all, um, then what can happen is you could free up all of your time to focus on that activity to get the leads. Even if you do have a 3% conversion rate, you still can be successful because your time is going towards only that. Whereas like the fulfillment and things can be handled by the virtual assistant. When I worked my 9 to 5, I had my virtual assistants. They were putting in work while I was at
Mm-hmm.
work. They was putting in work for the business, and I would check in with them. Obviously, when I could, we were working from home, so it was a lot easier to check in with them. But especially during lunch and before the morning starts, before I go to work, we're checking in. I'm seeing what their progress is, if they need any support from me. But if you build the right system, right, if you have the right systems in place, now you can focus on that revenue generating activity. So it doesn't matter if you have your 9 to 5, because the 2 to 3 hours that you have towards your business can go towards activity that can actually move the needle.
Wow. So online jobs PH is for it's from the Philippines. So you're getting obviously people that could potentially work part time or full time, work from the Philippines and make pretty decent money. with the dollar conversion from the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm getting my system together, but you're telling me to teach somebody from a different culture, country. Some of them speak really good English, some not as good, English. They made it may be able
Mm-hmm.
to, you can hire people from different skill sets, but how do I train them on a whole business? How do I train them on, I
Yeah.
guess, not even a whole business part, because we can kind of go back to the systems, but we're going back to the conversions. How do I teach somebody how to talk to other people to get clients? Some people say that don't copy and paste, make it all personal, but personable.
Mm-hmm.
But these people may not do that. So how did you get um, this person from a whole nother country reach out to people to get you some clients? Was it copying and pasting whatever you sent them, or did you teach them how to communicate properly?
Oh man, that's a great question. Great question. So when it comes to training virtual assistants, you're right. There is a language barrier, there's a culture barrier, and you will quickly run into that issue if you don't know what you're doing when dealing with a virtual assistant. One is like, so we got to understand the things that we need to delegate to a virtual assistant are going to be things that are very simple. So if they're simple and repetitive, like I always start off with those items because like you can automate the super repetitive, simple and easy things. You can definitely automate those. But for a virtual assistant, you want to start off with those things because the transactional type of activity are usually like lower value for your business. They might be a necessity, but they're usually lower value
What
and
do you
they're
mean
easier to
transactional?
comprehend. So it's like very one, two, three type of activity. Like activity that doesn't have a lot of gray area in it.
Okay.
You
Like
know, it's like
editing a
when you
photo
run
or
into
something.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Like if I could write it and we talked about this earlier, like literally write it down. Like what is it that you do? Right. So what I like to do is lay out all the processes that I do. So that's the first step. Like where am I spending my time? The next step is I like actually documenting those processes, especially if I plan on handing it off. And so when we document, we make it super complicated, but it really isn't. It's really just writing it down step by step, exactly what you do. It's just tedious. Like no one likes doing it. It's funny because when I was first building systems for businesses before I jumped into like more like digital marketing, we used to actually like set up systems from like a process improvement standpoint. So we would come into a business and help them document processes and create training materials to hire resources. So it really comes down to like writing it down, leveraging standard operating procedures, which is pretty much just a step-by-step blueprint on how you do a certain activity. So standard operating procedures are very, very important for a business. If you guys aren't leveraging SOPs, that's the shortened term SOPs. I would definitely look up SOPs and start putting them in your business immediately, even if you don't have anyone, because no one is building a business to plan on like running it themselves their entire lives, right? We're building a business so that we can hire people, put people in place, so that way we can become the CEO of our business versus just a self-employed worker. So you need to start documenting processes no matter where you are in your business, right? And so when you have these documented processes, it puts you in a very, very strong place for when you hire a virtual assistant or any resource, you're able to hand them pretty much a step-by-step tutorial on how to do the things that you need them to do in a business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell people all the time, like they struggle with virtual assistants and they blame the virtual assistant. And I can quickly usually come back to them and say, hey, well, how did you train? Like, did you give them any SOPs? Did you give them any like tutorials? Did you show them how to do what you're asking them to do? And usually they're like, oh, well, I trained them for like an hour or two. Like I trained them how to do it. That's not enough.
Right.
Like you can't just
Ongoing
train them on
training.
Zoom. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not gonna work. Like it never will work. Like what I like to do is I like to have my documentation, give it to the virtual assistant, and while I'm training them, we go through step by step on exactly what we're doing, identify any gaps, because like a SOP is something that is a very iterative process, meaning that like when you do it one time, you probably got to go back in it multiple times and keep adjusting it until you get it to where you need it to be.
Mm-hmm.
So to go back to your original question, the way that like a virtual assistant can be extremely successful for your business is by giving them the tools and resources to be successful, which is SOPs, documentation. If there's any like other training resources, like YouTube is very powerful for virtual assistants as well. Like they can go, if a good virtual assistant can go on YouTube and kind of figure some things out, but you still need to give them that initial guidance.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that. The other thing is time. Like you gotta have time to build a relationship with your virtual assistant. Like I will tell you, like my best performing virtual assistant right now, he started off like it was horrible at first, like horrible. Like he wasn't doing stuff the right way. It was like nothing was going right. But I stayed patient. You know, like I'm a strong believer in people. Like I just love people with a strong mindset. Like if you got a mindset to keep going, I will never let you go. Like I will never let you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so this guy, he just like he kept going, kept going, kept going. And so I will tell you, like just some additional game with virtual assistants is virtual assistants. I think it's just a cultural thing, but like criticism can come off really, really bad to a virtual assistant. Like if you're not giving it the right way. So I have to tell like a lot of my clients, all the time, like, hey, with your virtual assistant, like sit down and talk to them and tell them like, hey, I'm giving you feedback so that you can get better. I'm not just criticizing you, because there's a lot of like there's a lot of big corporations and other owners of virtual assistant, like who have a virtual assistant, owners of businesses that have a virtual assistant. They treat their workers like crap, and they fire them really quickly. So when you get a virtual assistant that you actually treat really well and they have a relationship with you, they are so loyal to you, because
Mm-hmm.
like you're giving them a much different experience than other people, which overall boosts their productivity and they provide more value for your business overall.
Definitely. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's some good stuff. Because I have a virtual assistant, and one of the things that I like to do is I praise her a lot, for the things that
Mm-hmm.
she do. Because sometimes, like I think when she first started, she was like, I hope I'm doing a good job. I was like, you're doing an amazing job. And then I'll, constantly still feed into her, educate her, teach her new things, because I knew I couldn't teach her everything all at once. I knew it was a gradual learning process. So I still, even to this
Mm-hmm.
day, make sure that I constantly praise her, because sometimes she still may question if she's doing a good job or not. And I'll praise her like, hey, you're doing a good job. Let's change XYZ. And then, I mean, that's just kind of like us. Like nowadays, nobody wants their, finger on you, telling you like what to do. And like, no one wants to be in a very structured environment. People still want to be the freedom. And sometimes I ask for
Right.
advice like, hey, do you think we should do this? Because she's the one doing it. She's the one doing
Right.
a lot of this work. So I still give her, the freedom to sometimes even still help me out, because she's the one that's now at this point, working my business. So, I
Mm-hmm.
think that is very important. So you have a virtual assistant agency, and I know you help businesses bring on. Oh, wait, before we even get to that part. So with your virtual assistants, as far as like generating leads, are you teaching them a copy paste message,
Oh,
or are you teaching them how to communicate with people?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, I went on a whole tangent and forgot
No, it
the
was fine. It was
whole
a good one. It
original
was a good
question.
one.
No, so I like leveraging scripts with a little bit of open area in it.
Okay.
So what I'll do is like I'll say, um, like scripts are always the best. Like, but the scripts have to be you. Like you have to write the scripts, because like it has to be you. Like people have to believe it's you. And it's funny because I've had clients where I've put a virtual assistant in their business and we're training them, and people have wrote back like, "Is this really you?" Like their like fan base and their followers like, "Is this really you?" And I gave the virtual assistant a script to say, "No, I'm actually on like this person's team. We're doing marketing research or something like that," and that usually works out like really well. But yeah, I love providing scripts. And like the script has to be built where it sounds like it's from you. It has to be general enough to where like you can leverage it with multiple like different people like in your audience, but yet it still is like tactical enough where it's like personalized. Like so for an example, my most favorite type of like code DM strategy is engaging with people that like commented on your post or that liked your post, right? And so I love giving like my team a script that says, "Hey, name, thanks for like engaging with my post. Just wanted to check in and see, would you be interested in some free training or something, blah, 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 blah. And then people usually reply like yes or no, or like sure, like why not? So like the way that you ask a question is you want the person to reply with a really short answer, because it makes it easier for the virtual assistant. So if it's just like a yes or no question, then it makes it easier for them to navigate the conversation. So usually it's, would you be interested in this? Like it does X, Y, and Z. Sure, I would love it. Okay, perfect. What's your email so I can send it over to you? What's your email and phone number? And I can send it over to you, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, here we go. Perfect. Thank you. Just sent it your way. Boom. That's it. Another one is like, I love running ads for, and I know we're talking about organic too, but I love running ads for incoming DMs. So it's like you can run ads and say like, shoot me a DM. And so a virtual assistant and automation can really be leveraged to navigate that conversation. But again, I have a script. And this script, just like an SOP, this script is a very iterative process. So when my virtual assistant first starts this process and they get a question that's not, if someone writes them and it's not yes or no, what we do is I give them the response to make, and then I say, hey, throw this in your vault, throw this in the script, so that anytime you get this type of response moving forward, you already have a way of knowing how to respond. So that is a very, very powerful way to help. And it's just like, it might take like a month before they can do it by themselves. Like, hey, send me a screenshot whenever a weird message comes in. I'll tell you how to respond. And I want you to grow from it every single time. Like, I don't want you to keep sending this to me and I keep responding. It's like, hey, here's how you should respond. Write it down, put it in the script. So next time you get the response, you're good to go. So that's the way I really like doing code DMs with a virtual assistant.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. So you have your virtual assistant, you have your VA agency, right? Now someone is watching this, they need your help, right? You're going to probably have, let's say for instance, you have these two avatars. You have the one avatar that needs complete assistance. They don't have a system and they really need to get started on the system. Then you have this other avatar that has a system, but there may be holes in a system that is leaking, that's keeping them to generate the income that they want. They have everything in place. They just aren't making any sales because there are some holes. So how do you help out these two individuals?
Yeah, that's a great question. And honestly, the way that I started doing it was I had to niche down. So like I was struggling at first because I was trying to do everything with systems. And so that's why we niched down to just marketing. Because when we were focusing on fulfillment, everyone's fulfillment process is very different.
What do you mean
it took a lot of like like your back end operation. So you have like sales and so you have marketing, which is basically raising awareness of your brand. You have sales, which is converting people who are aware of your brand into becoming like a paying customer. But then you have like fulfillment / operations, which is the actual transformation. Like how are you taking people from A to Z? That's going to be the fulfillment process. And so everyone's fulfillment process will be so unique. So what we did was, we were like, we're just going to focus on marketing and sales. So if someone has a current marketing and sales system, like we have our own system. So we specialize in something. Like everyone needs to specialize. When you specialize in something, you can charge more because your quality is going to be higher and you could turn it around quicker. So I stayed away from taking people with a current system and saying, I'm going to go in your system and like tweak it and fix it, to like, hey, we need to migrate you over to our system for this, because we wouldn't be in business if we were going in and dissecting people's like systems, because it just takes so much time. If we did do it, we would have to charge a much higher price, just because like, the time that it takes away. So
that's not your avatar, basically, the person with the holes.
It's not my avatar. Yeah.
Not your target market, avatar. I should say.
Yeah, they're my avatar, but like you got to get with the way we do it. Like, and I tell people that straight up. Like, hey, it would take too long for me to do this. I have my own system that we built, that will literally tackle everything that we need, and we can do it a lot quicker. So people are usually like, all right, sign me up when I say that. That usually doesn't stop them. But you raised a good point. Like, and the good point is, like, we can't serve everybody. Like, it's impossible. It's not fair to ourselves. It's not fair to that customer because we're not going to give them a good experience. So to answer your question about the two avatars is basically like, hey, no matter who you are, you got to get with our system because it's the only way that we can execute the way that we need to as a company.
Okay. So you got this person that's looking for a system. They come to you, and like, how do they reach out to you? What are they expecting to get from you?
Yeah, absolutely. So our whole goal is automating like client acquisition. Like, how can if you have a high ticket offer, we just want to get you on the phone with people. Like, and so we offer a do it for you service where we pretty much spend 1 hour of time with you, and we fully build your marketing and sales system to where it's fully automated for you to
In
where
1 hour?
you can drop it. Yeah, we only need 1 hour with you.
To build
That's
the
it.
whole system?
To build the whole
But
system.
it's just
So we need an
marketing, though.
hour. Right, exactly.
Okay.
So we need an hour of your time, and then usually it takes us about 10 days to build the system.
Oh, okay, got it.
And that's because I built a strong system. So I got a copywriter, I got an automation team. So I got all these people in place to where we meet with you, understand what your system is, and then we turn around and we fully build it for you. And that came from practice. It came from a lot of practice. But the goal is like client acquisition. Like, again, your time is valuable as an entrepreneur. And so if we can automate revenue generating activity, you can now focus on even more higher value revenue generating activity. And so that's the power of automations. And that's what we help our customers do. We help them transform from manual work to more like automation and just really being able to show up on sales calls versus having to like chase people down and things like that.
So after you built these people's system, because I do know that one, like you explained how you had the marketing side, the fulfillment, and what is it, the other part, the sales, I think you said back end sales. I think one of the challenges that some people can run into, and I guess what your advice would be here, is that when they start a business, it's so much noise as far as everything that's needed for a system. So if you guys are going to handle the marketing system part, what advice do you have on the other aspects to it so that these people can complete their system and then have a successful business?
Yeah, SOP, like standard operating procedures, documentation, like those are going to always save you, especially for fulfillment. Like, you will not believe how many people don't have their processes documented. Like, it's like unreal. You have a really good system because when I signed up for like just this podcast, like I was getting text reminders. Like, you sent out a whole checklist, like, hey, make sure you got this, make sure you got that, right? So you have a very strong system, which I'm sure increases like how convenient like the podcast is for guests.
Yes.
Right. So like you've already done it yourself, and it really just comes down to writing it down. Like, write it down. If you notice that there's something very repetitive and something that's simple, repetitive, that's when I will hire a virtual assistant. And the way we got to think about it with any numbers, we got to break the numbers down. Right. So if a virtual assistant costs me $800 a month, right? And so if I bring a virtual assistant into my business, I got to get my return on investment, right? And so the way you could think about that is if I bring this virtual assistant in for $800 a month, either one, my time has freed up and now I could spend time getting clients. So now I can get my return on investment because I'm getting freed up from that time. The other way is that you now increase like capacity of how many clients you can take, because I know so many entrepreneurs who can get more clients, but they literally like have to intentionally slow down on getting clients because their fulfillment can't handle it. So that's the second scenario. If you are at a place where like you can't handle it, if you hire a virtual assistant, now you can increase your sales and now you're getting a return on investment for that virtual assistant. So in terms of fulfillment, I always say document. And I intentionally give like my clients like all of the resources that I have for them to document their processes. So SOP templates, roles and responsibility templates, process map templates. And I know that's could be a little more complicated, but like all these different things for them to handle their fulfillment, because my goal as your marketing agency is going to be to get you as many sales as you can get, because the more sales I get you, the more you trust me, the more we can develop our partnership. So yeah, I would say process documentation is going to be key for fulfillment.
And what about someone closing? Because I know sometimes there's a level of sales skills to where some people are better at sales and closing people off the phone versus others. So do you feel like your system still secures that person who is developing that skill?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like when it comes to sales, like you don't even have to be the one doing sales for your company. Like
Mm-hmm.
you could hire someone to do the sales. But if you ever like, let's say you have like a physical product or service, that's when like automations are going to be really key. Like you just have a really good marketing system that where like you can make an offer. So this is what I tell people who have like e-commerce is like it's a reason that when you go into Nike's like website for the first time, that the first thing that pops up is like, hey, get 20%, get 15% off your first order. Like if I'm already coming on Nike's website to buy and you offer me that, I'm going to give you my email address. Like I'm going to give you my email address and phone number, like without a doubt. And what does Nike do with that now?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you sign up. The next thing you do is you get emails and texts for the next like 2 months of Nike just blasting you with products and services. So now, like, it's not like someone is working at Nike and they're like actually like finding your name and like writing you this stuff. It's all automated. So I always tell people like when it comes to like e-commerce and stuff, like we gotta have that lead generation system to get people's contact information, and we gotta keep drilling them. And then another powerful method when it comes to e-commerce or physical goods is abandoned cart automations.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many of us has like put stuff in our carts just to see like, we were really interested, we were about to buy, but then the shipping price came up and we're like, ugh, like I don't know if I want that. Like it kind of throws me off. But then I get an email from Nike or whoever like, hey, you left this in your cart, and it's like, all right, let me come back and get it.
Right.
So yeah, I always say like that's extremely important when it comes to that. But yeah, we work with like so many different entrepreneurs. We really focus on service-based entrepreneurs though, because
Okay.
e-commerce is like a different world,
Right.
to be honest with you.
I bet. So how do how should everyone reach out to you?
Absolutely. I'm most active on Instagram. So at the grind season on Instagram, one word, no underscores, just the grind season. I'm all about the grind. I'm all about
All
putting
about
that
the
work in.
grind.
It's
And then just
all about the
inbox you.
grind. Yeah, just shoot me a DM. Visit our website, systemsacceleration.com. You can always visit us there. But Instagram is where we're most active though, for sure.
Got you. Awesome. And then hit them up to get plugged in.
Listen,
Amazing.
listen. We turning it up. We got some great offers for new entrepreneurs because I know a lot of new entrepreneurs on this. Sales funnels are like the debate the world. Like when it comes to business and sales, like sales funnels are everything. So we actually are creating an offer to give people lifetime access to build unlimited sales funnels for just $47 one time. Like
Mm.
literally pay $47 one time and no monthly costs. It's really great for entrepreneurs. We have like weekly calls to like, it's really geared to help like the newer entrepreneur. So I definitely want to throw that out. So just visit us on Instagram and you'll definitely be able to take advantage of that too.
Okay. So you have the unlimited sales funnel, the done for you, and do you do consulting as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. I really stopped doing the consulting though because, as you know, like our time, like consulting and like one-on-one things really drain
Takes a
you.
lot of time.
Like they take, oh my god, they drain you. So we still got that though. I offer free consultations.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you have a business and you have like happy clients already, you're always able to get on the phone with me or my team, and we'll give you the exact blueprint to like
Amazing.
whatever it needs to scale your business.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for giving me your time today. I think you gave a lot of gold. I could tell that you know what you do. what you're doing, and that you definitely learned over time, even with these virtual assistants, because someone having multiple virtual assistants from a different country, that means you learn some things and have to go through some things. So I really appreciate you
Absolutely.
for blessing the Millennial Network podcast today. So again, everyone, this is the Millennial Network podcast. Your girl, Coach Danny Renee. And remember, your network is your net worth. Remember, Millennial Network people. All right, and we are out today. Peace.